Hey guys, this is my overview of Fiendish. Now, Fiendish is none other than Irene Strychalski's, also known as Rennie's epic fantasy comic book series, and it is epic and it is definitely fantasy. And she's got a very fleshed out world. She's invented a language, she's got races, she's got even maps. You can see, we'll show one off here. So you see, got maps, got runes for the New Narsa alphabet. Very highly detailed stuff here, but we'll start with what Fiendish is with the first issue right here. Now, Fiendish follows the story of Casimir. So Casimir is the main protagonist. He loses his entire family when his town is destroyed by demons, and time passes after this first scene, and he is now a hardened, very, I would say, pessimistic older hunter, and he is hunting. Well, in this story, the demons, when one demon is found to have killed a local to the city that he is living in, which is Alstead, and of course, he has his companion Iskel, who I believe is his cousin. He takes him in after he's abandoned by his mother, for reasons that I don't necessarily want to specify, to not go too much into the spoilers. But this is a fantastically drawn book. So Rennie draws both 1 and 2 with Carlos Zamudio, if I'm saying his name correctly, doing the colors. And they have, I would say, probably some of the best art I've seen in independent comics, or just comics in general. From the way the panels are laid out, from the way the shots are structured, everything looks absolutely fantastic. And of course, you've got a lot of scenes like this where the coloring just really shines and the line work is super clean. The character designs are an absolute joy to look at. There is so much thought and dedication put into, from the way the demons are designed, to what the characters are wearing, to what the buildings look like. Everything's been thought out by Rennie, and she's got a lot of details in this world. Now, one of the things I will say is that at the end of issue 2, and just to show off some of the art from issue 2, really is a continuation of the story established in the first issue, and the first issue is definitely a lot shorter than issue 2. Issue 2 does a lot more world building. You've got the 3 main characters here, Casimir, Iskel, and Yaomi, who joins her joining in the joining the main protagonist really happens in the second issue, although she's introduced in issue number 1. But there is a lot of, not say a lot of, but there is definitely some expository stuff. I should say stuff like this, the Daves, the ISPO ads. So these couple of pages with rune casting and all of this is stuff that in my opinion, should have been at the front of issue number 1. So if you ever do a second printing, if Rennie does ever watch this, to have this be at the beginning of issue number 1, so the reader can read all of this and then go into the story, they'll have a little bit more knowledge going into it, because there is definitely not really any exposition in the first issue, and that's a really good thing to maintain the pacing and the plot structure, which is really fantastic. This is a really a story that's really easy to wrap your head around. The only parts where you'll get a little bit lost is not knowing the finer parts of the lore that Rennie has really built out for this world. There's definitely a lot of like lore with the rune casting, with the Daevs being these like elfish imp-like humanoid creatures that are a slave class in terms of humans. You've got the Ispolaiads being like the First Men, or the Children of the Forest from Game of Thrones being like this ancient eclectic race that's gone away. Very, very interesting to have this information be in the second issue, but by the time I went through this, after having read the second issue, it was a little bit too late to have this. It gives context to the first issue, but to have this and then go into Fiendish would be, I would say, the optimal way to do the exposition, because the way that Fiendish 1, or I should say Fiendish in general, is set up is that these concepts are just talked about as if you already know them, instead of being introduced to the reader through some like long drawn out expository scene, which would really bore and really hamper the excellent pacing of the story. So I understand why she didn't structure the story like that. but to have this information be as the front matter for issue number 1, I think would be the best thing for new readers, because they would read this and then go into the story of Fiendish and be able to make sense of what Kaz-El and all of the other people he encounters actually are talking about. And then, of course, you've got the issue 2.5. So issue 2.5, honestly, I would really call this like a chapter 0 or an issue 0, because it's the prequel. So there's this time after the main character, Casimir, loses everything. His hometown is destroyed by the demons, and then he's introduced to this character. I believe it's, I forget what his name is. I think his name is Ofo, but I can't exactly remember. But that is the character who takes him in, trains him up, and really forges the very aggressive, pessimistic personality that he has in Fiendish 1 and 2. And now you've got the story being by Irene, but this is drawn by Michael Rushbrook, and it's colored by Jake Harold. And they really maintain Rennie's and Zamudio's style throughout. So it feels just like reading any of the reading through Fiendish 1 and 2. That style feels exactly the same. The way the panel layouts are done, because she did do the layouts, of course. But the art feels very much in line with the quality that was established in Fiendish 1 and 2. So Fiendish really gets a recommendation from me as being, I'd say, probably the most ambitious independent fantasy comic book universe that I know of. The only thing I can think of that's got more lore, more characters that have these, complex workings within themselves and the world that they exist in would be the Rippaverse, but the Rippaverse is more superhero and science fiction focused, where this is purely high fantasy, getting stuff, think of Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings. It's much more in that vein than it is the superhero comic book. So for independent comics, I really can't think of anything that's as ambitious as what Rainey is doing, and she's really knocking out of the park. These first 2 issues and the 2.5 are a fantastic foundation for the world that she's building, and whether that continues only through the eyes or through the perspective of Casimir, I would say, because it really centers around Casimir and his story, or she expands out and she tells other stories. She can tell stories with the Triads, you can tell stuff way before with the Ispalaiads. So there's a lot of stuff she can do with all the pieces, with all the stuff that she's established in these first 3 books, that she could really do this for the rest of her life. And I'm sure that's part of the intention, is to be making books in the Fiendish universe until she's not in comics anymore. But definitely highly recommend this. This is a fantastic start to the Fiendish series, and there's just so much she can do with the world that she's built. And of course, the quality is top tier from the printing of the books themselves. They're physically very nice to hold. The page quality is very nice, but what's on the pages themselves looks absolutely fantastic. Like I said, from the pencil and ink work is super tight. The layouts are fantastic, and the coloring just really makes everything pop. This is probably some of the best art in independent comics that you are going to see. Definitely recommend it on that basis. So go to the Fiendish website, check out Rainey's work. You can buy all of these books digitally, I believe, but if you can get them physically, I would recommend doing that, because I love the feel of reading physical comics. But that is just me. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this overview. Fiendish is absolutely fantastic. Joker is out. Thank you for stopping by the Velvet Room. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe so you can keep up with Velvet Room Publishing. And go to velvetroompublishing.com if you want to go even deeper into the Velvet Room.